set for a wonderful day in
happy to
sports.
be.
Opening day for America's national pastimes.
This was about 2 months after he took office. That was an interesting experience in its own right because it was so structured, and I was told, you will say every word that we write out. You will not deviate from the script, and go to the word. Like every single question was scripted, gone over dozens of times by many executives, editors and executives. Absolutely. I was on script and was told not to deviate. It was very much, this is what you will ask, this is how you will say it. No follow-ups. No follow-ups. Next. I knew that this was a lot bigger than just the wonderful editors that I worked with. This went up to the fourth floor, as we said, that we're all the bosses, the top executives, the decision makers are the president of our company, the CEO, where they all work.
What's up, y'all? Gerald here, creator of Gospel Chops and your host for this YouTube channel, back with another video. Now, what you just saw was Sage Steele, formerly of ESPN fame, a prominent and popular reporter on that network who is no longer there, no longer subject to the control of the ESPN overlords. You saw her in a moment of candor, in a moment of honesty where she feels comfortable now to speak out about some of the things she experienced there. Specifically, an interview she did with former Vice President Joe Biden in 2021, where she says that the restrictions on that interview were so strict, were so confined, were so restricted by the bosses at ESPN, those fourth floor guys, that she couldn't deviate even one word from the script that they had given her. She's saying that Joe Biden's interviews, even back to the days of 2021, are scripted. And we've seen, everybody knows this. If you're looking with two eyes, y'all, if you have a mind to comprehend and eyes to see, you understand we've seen Joe Biden stand up at the podium in the press briefing room of the White House, and he picks specific reporters to ask questions to, and he reads from his card and he says, well, if I deviate from this, I will be in trouble. If I don't say this or I don't do this, I'm going to get in trouble. Well, sir, you are the president of the United States, are you not? Who is this that's overseeing you that will get you in trouble? And when you say trouble, what exactly do you mean, sir? Are they chaining you to the water heater and whipping you incessantly? What is going on in that White House with this geriatric president? Now, mind you, y'all, I'm not bagging on Joe Biden for being an old man. We all want to get old. I hope to get that age, 80, 81. Is that what he is now? We all hope to get that age and be able to see our loved ones grow old, our grandkids grow to adulthood. We want to see that stuff. We want to live long enough, and hopefully we'll all be healthy as we grow old. However, we understand that there comes a time in our aging where you got to say, hey, Grandpa, give me the keys to the car. I don't think you can do it anymore. And I think that's where we are with this president. I think that's where we've been with this president from his inception into the seat. That's why they hid him during the campaign. That's why he campaigned from his basement. That's why these interviews are scripted even to this day. That is why in 2024, he's not campaigning much at all. They're still keeping him hidden in the interviews he does. Well, they're scripted, like Sage Steele is saying. Y'all, let's get into this story and see what she's talking about. From Fox News, the story says former ESPN host says her Biden interview was entirely scripted by network execs. Every single question. Every single question. That's incredible. Quote, I was on script and was told not to deviate, former Sports Center host Sage Steele told Fox Digital. Let's get into this, y'all. Former ESPN host Sage Steele revealed that her 2021 interview with President Biden was scripted by network executives. In an interview with Fox News Digital, Steele recalled the structured nature of the pre-taped interview. So much so that her ESPN bosses handed her a script to go off of. Here's a script. No questions on your own. No investigative journalism. No follow-up questions. You read these questions that we've given you, that Joe Biden is privy to ahead of time, and do not deviate. That was an interesting experience in its own right because it was so structured, Steele said, and I was told you will say every word that we write out. You will not deviate from the script and go. Many of the questions Steele asked Biden in the March 2021 interview pertain to sports leagues attempting to restore normalcy during the COVID pandemic and vaccine hesitancy among athletes and fans. Her interview made headlines at the time when Biden supported the MLB's All-Star Game boycott of Atlanta following the passage of Georgia's election reform law, which was a bogus narrative if you follow stories like that. But everything Steele said to the president ultimately came from ESPN's C-suite. Y'all, these weren't her questions. She didn't make up none of this. This was handed to her. Just a pawn in the game. I'm sure she feels so much better to be free and not to be under the thumb of those in the C-suite on the 4th floor. To the word, every single question was scripted, gone over dozens of times by many editors and executives. Absolutely. I was on script and was told not to deviate, Steele told Fox News Digital. It was very much, this is what you will ask. This is how you will say it. No follow-ups, next. This went up to the 4th floor, as we said, where all the bosses, the top executives, the decision makers are. The president of our company, the CEO, where they all worked. The bigwigs, y'all, the decision makers. This stuff trickles down from the C-suite to the lowly journalist who gets to sit across from the president of the United States and ask these questions, but none of these questions are of her own volition. None of these questions are written by her. These are from the corporate office, vetted by the president's office. He already knows what's coming. He already has scripted answers. This is terrible. This is a scripted campaign. This is a scripted presidency. And here's the thing that gets me. If you have eyes to see, you should be able to see all this stuff. Most of us have had people in our families who have dealt with dementia, who have become elderly, who have become forgetful in their old age, who might not be there all the time. Well, this is what we're dealing with in this 81-year-old man who just happens to be the president of the United States. We've seen him walk away from the podium and not take questions. We've seen him walking to Marine One and questions being thrown at him by reporters and him refusing to answer, or him answering incoherently. And we know that his staff would disapprove of all that. But here we are with the scripted geriatric president. Story goes on to say, Steele said she didn't know for certain whether ESPN sent the questions to the White House in advance of the interview, but seemed confident that is what happened. I'm confident as well, Sage, Miss Steele. Having a college degree in journalism, I know how this works. I'm qualified to speak on these issues. And I know when they hand you a script and say, don't deviate, not even one word, we know what that is. It's not even a real interview. It's more so propaganda. And it's unfortunate that that is what American politics is devolving into. But here we are in 2024. It's worse than it was in 2021 when this interview was conducted. And as I sit here today, I can assure you, things are going to get worse as we get closer to election day. Story says ESPN declined to comment. Period, point blank. Yeah, we know they declined to comment because they are in the pocket of the left-wing Democrats. We know this. And only when Sage Steele broke away from ESPN and got her sense of freedom could she even speak on this issue. We are years later, and here she is telling you the truth in a candid moment. Y'all, America's in trouble because we don't know, as the populace, we don't know who the real president is. We know it's not this 81-year-old man walking around. He can barely walk, y'all. Who's tying his shoes in the morning? Who's making sure that his pants are put on the right way? This is incredible. If he is unable to function as an elder statesman, as someone who appears not to have it all together all the time, as someone who appears to need a shot, as Donald Trump would say, just to function in the office, just to deliver a State of the Union address, feels like he got to be amped up, like they got to shoot him up with something just so he can be normal. It's a sad state of affairs, but it is the state that we are in. Y'all, what do you think about this? What Sage Steele had to say in the condition that this president might be in as we go into this 2024 election? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to know what you think about this. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video so we can get more people involved in the conversation, y'all. And like I always say, always remember and never forget, without the gospel, it's just chops. Peace.